Alright everybody, welcome. I'm at my parents' place right now. That's why there's no webcam. But nevertheless, we want to show you some content. So here we are, right now. Pennywise and Shadowwings, those two guys here, are doing their Christmas charity ELO, well, ELO sharing event, where they're playing Suicide Cross together. And I think that's something really interesting. Maybe some of you might enjoy, and I can also give some insights on actions they're taking and alternatives I would do. So let's have a look at this interesting suicide game. Maybe I'm gonna record a second one afterwards as well. So with having a look, we see it here Pennywise and Shadowwings. They're playing, where Shadowwings here in blue, he's the one building. This whole tactic is based on one player here on that side, it's Shadowwings, building fighters, and the other one only pushing workers. We can see it here, Pennywise already on 7 workers. And since there's the gate, the king won't get attacked before Shadowwings has either leaked or cleared his wave. So the intention behind all this is that one player is building enough value to hold both waves as best as possible, and the other player, which is Penny right now, is pushing as many workers as he can, pressuring a lot, which in this case is Jules, and try to scale into the late game very heavily with income. So either they're winning before this happens, before late game happens, or they lose before that happens, which is pretty common. And the third option would be they win because of the late game scaling, which is huge. But let's have a look at the enemies that are facing the Suicide Cross. So you can already see it here, Jules building a green devil, and on the other hand side we have Cyan going for the Aqua start. It is very important to mention two things playing against Suicide Cross. First is, you have to communicate. Without communication, there will be no chance playing against a Suicide Cross usually. And second one is, have a look at your opponents. You can categorize the two players playing a Suicide Cross as following. Here, the one who's pushing the workers is called the Suicider. He will be able to send the big sends, so really huge sends incoming. So Jules, receiving from the incomer, or from the Suicider, he has to step a little bit back on worker and overbuild quite a lot. The other one, which is Cyan here right there, let's show it on the map real quick, he's receiving way smaller sends, since she's going to only get the sends from the builder, who's usually very low in worker, which could be around 5 workers until wave 10. So in that case, Cyan has two jobs. First, be super greedy and try to get as many workers himself as possible, and second, try to cover potential leaks that Jules might face because he's getting huge sends. We just saw it here, wave 2, where can we see it? Oh yeah, here we can, wave 2, Jules already got an 80 send, which you sometimes don't even get in wave 3. So let's have a look at this. I'm gonna comment with my opinion. Let's have fun with the Suicide Cross, and I think this is going to be a huge spectacular. And by the way, I will have the opportunity to stream the next days, probably. I'm not sure if I can start tomorrow already, but the next days. So check out my stream on Twitch then as well when I'm live. Link is obviously in the description. One thing Suicide Cross games have in common is that the waves are super long, especially the waves in the early game. So you should always consider this when you have actions, for example push another worker or not, because either you're good next wave and push this extra worker, or the wave is going to be another 20 to 30 seconds maybe, and you might leak because you didn't invest those 50 gold into a worker. And second thing I would consider is treasure hunt. Usually you try to get treasure hunts out in waves that are super short, because then the red gives you a better mythium rate than a worker would do. But in suicide games, since the waves are so super long, it's not really good to go for treasure hunt and pack rats, because a worker is usually gaining more mythium per gold. And we can see it here. It is very, very essential. We see it here to send together. So we have the sends coming out from Jules and Cyan, here both sending on a strategical wave. Why did they send 4 for example? We see it here, the Green Devil, a very strong unit for waves 3 and 5, but he's very weak for 4. And we already saw some other units, so we saw the Gargoyle here, we saw the Growl, and we saw the Chain Fist, all units we saw so far. None of those units is having pierced attack damage, which makes wave 4 the perfect answer to try out the first bigger send and try to weaken their defense and maybe get a little bit of King already. As a defense, the Suicide Cross here, they're already going for some King upgrades. This is very smart. In my understanding of Suicide Cross, the one building, which in this case is Shadow Wings, should always try to go for King upgrades instead of sending from time to time, because in that way he's going to get regular income, because he can just King up every time, without feeding the opponent and giving yourself a little bit of a defense strategy against potential leaks, as we saw it just now. So that is a very, very smart thing to do. It is really sad to see that Cyan has absolutely no idea how to play against the Suicide Cross. We see it here, Jules, the one receiving the big ass sends. So he's getting the real trouble sends. He's having more workers than Cyan, which is not really good for them as a team. Which means if this is gonna be the way the game looks like in the next few waves, Cyan is just under pushing. He will be too hard overvalue and they will have no chance of winning this hardcore scaling late game unless they finish the Suicide Cross very, very early. And this is gonna be a really hard task to do, to finish this Suicide Cross so early. So I'm really a little bit scared that we will see Cyan and Jules lose because of some mistakes that were done that way. But let's see first how wave 6 is gonna go, because this is gonna be super interesting. We already see it here. The Mimic is coming out. We see another 60 cent pre-income, and after income there is going to be another 40 Mythium, which makes a total of 260 Mythium that Jules is going to get on 6. While he's not really good. He's now having Berserker. He's placing it as a tank. Very smart decision to make. The Berserker is, yeah, he's decent on 6. But with placing the Berserker more or less at a tank spot, he will achieve that the other units here, the masks, are given enough time to deal damage. The Hermit though, that he's gonna receive is countering that perfect. And he's gonna have a really, really hard time. I'm 100% sure he's gonna leak almost all of it. Mimic countering the Berserker and the Green Devil perfectly. The Hermit is, yeah, she's just working against the masks. And let's see if Cyan here is able to hold good, which is looking great. So he's still having a few tanks left. He's having a Zeus, which is really strong against this wave 6 here. And last but not least, he is having the Aqua Spirit. Alright, this looks actually like some more King damage on the other side. So Cyan, even though he stepped really, really far back in worker, and Jules is almost on the same worker count as Cyan, they were able to make a strategic send here once again. We see it here, double brood into the Suicider's lane. Super smart, because you will have those 2 broods guaranteed to be leaked at least down to the holding area, which is gonna harm the leftover units a lot. While we just saw it here, I hope I can show it. Can I show it? No, I can't show it. Sad thing. But there were 2 fiends sent on Shadow Wings, so in that case they were just like, okay, Jules, go take the income. You will need it. Shadow Wings is gonna hold anyway. And we're gonna kill them with the send on the Suicider. So very smart strategy, and we can already see it here. The King ups, the King heals are coming out. Especially problematic here is to see that Pennywise even has to do some King heal upgrades, while usually I would prefer only having Shadow Wings at the spot to do some king ups, whether it's heal or attack, anything like that. I would like to see from Shadow Wings, because Penny is gonna lose all the pressure he needs against Jules, because his job is gonna be A, kill Jules as good as possible, and we see it here. Jules is already the last in power score besides Shadow Wings, who's obviously not having workers. And in the same time, Penny has to scale a lot, and that scaling aspect is working out perfectly. I mean, there's no way that it just doesn't work out if you just push worker out of your send. But the other aspect with pressuring Jules, it's working okay so far, but Jules actually still having a lot of worker, and they did not take a lot of king damage in return. So Cyan on this side, very, very passive. He's doing a good job, but I would wish to see more workers from him. So what we see right now, we see a balanced worker push on both players, and Jules is just taking the leagues from time to time. Obviously this is a strategy as well, but you have to care that Jules is not the one losing too much gold out of those taken leagues. And here is the next big send. I said it before, there has been no Pierce units down at the tank line, but luckily Shadow Wings added the Sea Serpent, which is a great help. On wave 8 he's gonna just slice through those Cobras, and he will have an easy job down here as well, only the Mimic to counter the Swift armor type and the King Claw. It's just such a huge tank, reducing the attack speed, so very, very smart. Oh no, he's so unlucky with the Mimic directly going on the Sea Serpent, and this will be huge king damage on top. Oh no, he's not. Oh, he got the Mimic with the last bit of king damage, and now this is really, really close. We see it here, Pennywise and Shadow Wings, they're both saving for some time already. They will go for this all-in call, and with having a look at the lanes, it should be 9 exactly. Jules 100% dead on 9. He's really not having one unit being good on 9. He can now place double Antler, which would be like his best option overall. And we see it here. Cyan, he's having huge value for the small size send he's gonna receive, but to be fair, he's not really having a good unit. And I want to question this decision here to make the Iron Scale. Yes, he wants a huge tank, and yes, the Iron Scale is a huge tank, but he just has those Chain Fists around, which would be the perfect damage and armor type against the upcoming wave. So he has to be really, really sure about what he's doing to be that confident to go for the Iron Scales. We see the pings coming out here as well, instead of just upgrading the Chain Fist to Oathbreaker. So let's have a look. The first unit that was really essential for a whole tier, the Aqua Spirit, died already. This is a real shame, I have to say, since now there's only the 2 suits left and the Iron Scale of the tank, and look at this huge league. There's still, the 2 auras are still there, there's the Mimic still there. I wonder why there was no pack leader. I would really love the pack leader. And with having a look at Dino Double Lizard, that could have been a pack leader. He could have also done the pack leader instead of the Mimic, which was definitely sent before income. So that would have actually been huge, a pack leader against the King, buffing all the units, especially the Lizards. Lizards buffed with pack leader is so huge. That would have been nice to see. But let's have a look at the strikes coming back. Pennywise, usually you start building with your Suicide Cross on 10. Or afterwards. Most of the times it's afterwards. This is gonna be really, really risky for them, and I can already imagine, yeah, exactly, Pennywise going for the build here, because Shadow Wings, yes, he's looking decent, but they're only at 13% HP. So the smallest league already, or the time when Shadow Wings is not holding perfectly, can already cost them the game, and obviously they don't want to lose the game just because Penny started to build too late. Let's have a look at this, because Pennywise, he's having huge income already. He's almost doubled the income over the other players, and on top of that he's having a really nice late game comp with his Starcaller LD Magician build. So this is actually huge. He could also just go for Starcaller Hero, which would give huge tanks or huge tanky imps as soon as he's upgrading them to excuse me, I don't get the name, to Hades. So let's have a look. Pennywise, yes, he did a decent job, but that might already be game. It actually looks like it is. Let me have a look. The heal's just coming out a little bit too late. The boss already shutting down the the sea serpent, and that should be over. GG's, Cyan and Jules. Well played. So that was a really nice demonstration of Suicide Cross. Obviously, it's not worth it in high elo. Maybe it's fine in like platin or diamond elo. So if you want to try it out, sure go for it. And if you have to play against it, try to follow the tricks I gave you. Communicate, send on the same wave together, and have a look which position you are. Are you the one receiving from the incomer, or are you the one receiving from the builder? And act like this with your pressure and your work account. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm gonna record another game of this, so see you hopefully next times in my stream, and until then, stay safe and good luck in your ranks.